Moderna begins their trials to expand their vaccine.
As the population of migrants continue to rise near the border, sheltering children becomes its latest concern.
And updates on Twitter and Tinder that could change social media.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV News at Noon.
For joining us on ntTV News at Noon, I'm Trevor Newell.
And I'm Jocelyn Lassiter.
It has been more than 2 months since the attack on the U.S. Capitol, and yet more arrests are being seen. 2 men are facing assault charges after the FBI says they sprayed Capitol police officers in the face with some kind of toxic chemical agent. One of the officers, Brian Sicknick, died the next day. CNN's Britt Conway has a look at what's next in the case, including the possibility of upgraded charges.
January 6th, hundreds of rioters stormed the U.S. Capitol. Prosecutors say among them, 32-year-old Julian Ellie Cater and 39-year-old George Pierre Tanios. They're each facing 9 counts for what investigators say happened that day.
It's clear that it took a long time for law enforcement to get to this point.
The Brian Sicknick case has been a priority for investigators. According to a criminal complaint, the men were, quote, working together to assault law enforcement officers with an unknown chemical substance by spraying officers directly in the face and eyes. One of those 3 officers was Sicknick. Police say he went back to a command center and collapsed. He died the next day. Cater and Tanios faced judges on Monday. Cater's attorney says he plans to plead not guilty. Tanios will have a hearing Thursday on whether he'll stay in jail before trial. Prosecutors say they worry he could run or obstruct justice if he's let out, and that he's a danger to the community. Right now, they're charged with assault, not murder. Investigators didn't say in the complaint whether the exposure to the spray directly caused Sicknick's death.
They are keenly focused on trying to find the right evidence to fully understand how he lost his life. What was that, singular moment? We may not get to that.
And if they can't, prosecutors still have a powerful tool to make their case.
You are also going to have 2 officers who are going to say, I was sprayed in the face with a chemical substance.
I'm Britt Conway, reporting.
North Korea issued a warning to the U.S. earlier today saying, we take this opportunity to warn the new U.S. administration trying hard to give off a powder smell in our land. If it wants to sleep in peace for the coming 4 years, it had better refrain from causing a stink at its first step. The message is North Korea's first official statement on the Biden administration. According to officials at the White House, the Biden administration has tried to make contact with North Korea numerous times, but the country has been unresponsive so far.
We're only one step closer to the end of the pandemic, as staff at the White House will no longer be tested for COVID-19 every day. That's a recent change to testing protocol, according to an administration official familiar with the process. White House staff has steadily increased in receiving vaccines. White House spokesperson Kevin Munoz said the testing protocol depends on several factors, including an employee's vaccination status, and is only one of a host of measures in place to mitigate risk in the workplace. The White House still requires its staff to wear masks, social distance, and regular testing prior to the change. Only those who are coming in contact with a top leader such as President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris were getting tested daily. If a staff member was not going to be in contact with those people, they already were not being tested daily. And while the White House changes their tests, Moderna starts vaccinating children. As part of the pharmaceutical company's pediatric clinical trial, children have gotten the COVID-19 vaccine. About 6,700 children in the U.S. and Canada between the ages of 6 months and 11 years old are participating. They are getting 2 doses of the vaccine spaced about 28 days apart. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration authorized emergency use of Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine for adults in December.
Can you believe we have been having some pretty warm weather that I'm excited for, and I think I feel spring around the corner.
No, I absolutely agree. In fact, with spring weather comes rain. Our weather anchor, Alyssa Weems, has more. Alyssa?
Well, Jocelyn and Trevor, spring weather is on its way. It is so beautiful outside. Right now it is 65 degrees, but it does feel like 60 with that 10-mile-per-hour wind speed. But looking at tonight's conditions, we're going to see that temperature drop to 57 degrees. So still warm, still those spring temperatures. But now looking at tomorrow's conditions here, it will get up to 70 degrees, but it will feel like 64 with that 15-mile-per-hour wind speed. Now stay tuned later on in the show for the full 7-day forecast.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says the government is taking steps immediately to keep women safe on the streets at night. But many remain outraged by the aggressive police response to a weekend vigil in London for murder victim Sarah Everard. CNN's Nino Dos Santos has more from London.
They came to stand up for their right to protest. But after gathering under the only statue of a woman in Parliament Square, they ended up walking around London for hours to be able to do so. By keeping moving, the people said they wanted to make the police task of reminding them that they were in breach of COVID rules more difficult, which in turn made for very different scenes to Saturday's vigil in honour of the killed Londoner Sarah Everard.
It took police just 1 hour to break up a peaceful protest in a South London suburb. Yet these demonstrators have been on the streets near Parliament for around about an hour and a half already, and so far there has been no intervention. This despite the fact that they've blocked a bridge over the River Thames and are now heading towards Scotland Yard.
Metropolitan Police said they hadn't wanted to break up the event on Saturday, but felt the need to protect people from the pandemic. As women showed their anger at London's police force, the government went ahead with a bill it had been working on for some time, proposing new sweeping changes to the justice system that critics said protected statues better than women.
What kind of message does it send out that if you violate a woman, you're likely to get no time at all or a very, very minimal sentence, but if you violate a statue which is made of stone or metal and usually is a statue of a man, that you're going to get up to 10 years.
Parliament will vote on the new bill this week, with the opposition saying it's not expected to pass. Then again, neither is the heartfelt anger over women's rights to safety in the UK. Nina Dos Santos, CNN, London.
Returned, one minority owner speaks out against the racial vandalism done to his restaurant.
Plus, the rise of migrants near the U.S. border has forced safe sheltering for children.
Business owner Mike Nguyen was seen on national TV criticizing Governor Greg Abbott for lifting the mask mandate shortly after Nguyen saw racial slurs covering his ramen shop in response to his comments. The small business owner has spoken with police, but fears the more he is exposed, the more he is going to receive public scrutiny.
Actively investigating this. I actually talked to the detective yesterday, and we're going through some leads, and we're looking through cameras to see if we could potentially find the identities of the peoples who've done this. And you know, with the threats, they've been ramping up since yesterday, and you know, it makes me believe that there might be another secondary attack on the restaurant, and you know, that my safety is may be at risk, or you know, it might escalate. You know, and the thing is, the more I speak about it, the more it seems like the threats are ramping up, but that's not going to stop me. You know, I'm going to bring awareness to the situation because, you know, we're not going to let the hate and ignorance, you know, prevail. You know, we're going to bring awareness to this, and we're going to stop this.
After the vandalism occurred, Nguyen's faithful community came out to help him remove all of the slurred graffiti and clean up his restaurant.
As many Mexican migrants continue to enter the U.S., the rise of unsheltered migrant children continues to rise. In an effort to help shelter these children, the Health and Human Resources recently opened a temporary facility to help shelter the migrant teenagers and children. A bus was provided to help the transport to the children to Midland, Texas, where they would be provided with shelter and resources. The Department of Homeland Security released a statement this weekend saying FEMA will be back a government-wide effort to help shelter unaccompanied children entering the U.S. FEMA has also contributed with the assistance of migrant children in Dallas. Last Friday, FEMA approached the city of Dallas about leasing a convention center as a temporary shelter for unaccompanied teens who have crossed into the U.S. from the Rio Grande Valley area. After receiving approval, nearly 3,000 immigrant teens who have crossed the border are now in government custody and are soon to be held in a downtown Dallas convention center this week. According to volunteers, the teens have experienced significant trauma, and border agents are apprehending more than 400 children a day. As the story continues to unfold, we will keep you updated on any updates.
Yesterday, the Texas Senate voted on a bill that would reverse $16 billion in wholesale electricity charges that came as a result of the winter storm last month. The bill was passed in the Senate and now moves to the House. If the bill is passed, it would let most consumers off the hook for the price spike seen during the storm. However, it might also push higher prices onto other municipalities. A reversal of charges would mean that cities that produce and distribute their own utilities would still be on the hook for high distribution prices. While the bill would reverse $16 billion in energy production charges, it wouldn't change the price municipalities have to pay for distribution. Now, Jocelyn, did you see the Grammys?
I actually did, but I know who also saw it, and that is Blake Weiland, who has more information on the UNT alumni at the Grammys. Blake.
Thanks, guys. University of North Texas alumni won several awards at the 63rd Annual Grammys on Sunday. Here's a summary of the awards. Snarky Puppy, a group made up of several College of Music alumni, won the Best Contemporary Instrumental Album Grammy for their album, Live at the Royal Albert Hall. Faculty member Scott Tixer played violin on John Legend's Grammy-winning Best R&B Album. Bigger Love. College alumnus Dave Pietro played alto saxophone, clarinet, piccolo, flute, and alto flute on Maria Schneider's album Sputnik, which won the Best Large Jazz Ensemble Album. That's all I have for now. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Blake. When it comes to attending college these days, everyone needs a little bit of help. UNT is now providing more assistance to first-generation students than ever before with the newly opened Success Center. ntTV's Victor Villagran has the details.
If you're a student at UNT and your parents did not complete a 4-year college degree, then you classify as a first-generation college student. These students can take advantage of the First Generation Success Center and get support for their college lives.
So the First Generation Success Center specifically helps first gen students by giving them an actual area that they can seek additional support. Generally, first generation students will have common challenges that they experience as students, and sometimes, asking for help can be a little intimidating.
First generation students make up to 41.5% of the undergraduate population at UNT.
So with the First Generation Success Center, it gives them a place that they can comfortably go and seek support for a wide variety of challenges that they might be experiencing.
There are many topics they address in workshops and presentations, such as financial aid, campus resources, academic coaching, and much more. The Success Center also provides a survey online for first-generation students, asking what they could do better for the students.
Since this is the first time that the university has had a center specifically dedicated for first-generation support, I hope that they are excited.
You can find the First Generation Success Center at the Union on the 3rd floor in Suite 376.
I feel grateful and I feel excited that the center is open and I might have a role in helping students succeed and move forward.
If you're an eligible student, make sure to visit their office. The First Generation Success Center is currently open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Jocelyn, it's great to see all the various resources UNT has to offer. I think that's really what I love most about UNT, and especially, recently walking the campus with this warm weather, it's been amazing. So
I totally have to agree with you, Trevor. However, I checked my weather app on my phone this morning, and I am not excited about those showers coming through. Alyssa, what can you tell us about that?
Well, unfortunately, Jocelyn and Trevor, there will be rain showers today and tomorrow and throughout next week. But right now, let's look at our current conditions for right now in North Texas. Right now, as I mentioned in first look, right now it is 65 degrees. McKinney, we got 66. So just in the northern Texas region, it is going to be in the mid to upper 60s. But right now, looking across the state, we are going to see temperatures in the higher 60s or even higher 50s up here in Oklahoma City or Amarillo. But right now, looking at our 7-day forecast right here, we can see that it is going to rain today and tomorrow with a 90 to 70% chance. But starting on Thursday throughout Saturday, it will be sunny all day. But beginning Sunday, we will see those rain showers yet again. That's all I have for the weather. Back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Alyssa. Denton City Council members will vote today on whether or not to extend the city's emergency declaration. The declaration won't extend the mask mandate, but would allow Denton to continue to collect state and federal funds meant for COVID-19 relief. The special work session is scheduled for 2 p.m. today with regular meetings immediately afterwards.
Even as COVID numbers fall, Texas still has the 3rd highest death toll in the country. Over 2,600 new COVID cases were reported across the state on Sunday, with an average number of new cases falling below 4,700 on Thursday. As the state continues to increase vaccination efforts, new vaccine sites are popping up at certain Albertsons, H-E-B, Walgreens, Kroger, and Walmart locations. For more information on COVID-19 vaccinations and where to get them, you can visit the link posted in our live stream description.
After the break, our segment Anchor explains how you should be buying groceries.
Plus, changes to some popular social media apps could be coming. More of that when we return.
Hey, Jocelyn. Local farming can make our community healthier and more connected to our planet. This Denton farmer knows how.
This North Texan farmer grows more than just food. He grows environmental awareness in his community and promotes spiritual farming.
It's not just about farming, is people being able to see themselves, seeing how they could be more.
He founded Misty Moon Farm in 2017 and wants to show people how life-changing farming can be.
We want it to be an educational center. We want people to be able to come out here and see how to farm. Society as a whole is not sustainable. There's the inputs that it's taking to maintain the system of westernized modern life are being more and more. They're depleting resources, and the outputs in the long run, for the next 7 generations of people, it's not gonna turn out well.
Buying locally grown food is also a step for reducing your impact on the environment.
It's very important that people buy their food from places like this. When you're getting food at the store, even if it's organic, local is more important than organic in terms of nutrition, which is eye-opening for a lot of people. So even if your local person isn't 100% organic, it's going to have more nutrition than organic stuff from the store. And that just has to do with if you're transporting it, you have to harvest it early. It loses nutrition as soon as you pick it. So if you have to travel a far ways, if it's coming across the border from Mexico, they have to irrigate it, longer shipping times. So the quality of it is just going down and down and down. And I'm young, I'm 30 years young right now, and I want to keep growing that ability to be able to touch people that way. Be the change you wish to grow.
The best way to support local farms is to shop at a local farmer's market or directly in a farm's fruit stand. Here coming up in Denton, we have the Denton's Community Market that runs from April to November. So if you're thinking about where to get your food in the next few months, remember that local is better than organic. That's all I got for now. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Rochelle. One cell phone app that got very popular during the pandemic was Tinder. However, many users do not always feel comfortable with who they are matching with. Luckily, Tinder is making changes to allow those users to feel safe. The online dating site is integrating a background check feature later this year. The process will pull a person's criminal record by collecting public records such as arrests, reports of violence, abuse, and restraining order. The act of doing a background check in Tinder will cost users a certain price, which has not yet been determined. The new feature is now entering its testing phase, which will take several months before rolling out. This is likely going to have an effect on competitors of the app, in which they too will integrate a criminal background check. If you have a favorite Twitter handle, you might want to start looking over your finances. Twitter is considering becoming a paid subscription for its more popular users. The company teased the feature during its Analyst Day's presentation on Thursday. If the company decides to go through with the idea, it will be called Super Follow. If implemented, users would be able to pay creators for additional content within their Twitter feeds, such as special announcements and newsletters.
To work the CUSA tournament, I have to admit, it was an experience to remember.
Oh, I bet it was. How exciting to be in a different atmosphere and environment. I'm ready to hear what our sports anchor, Shaji Adam, has in stores for us. Shaji.
Thanks, Jocelyn. Luka Doncic had another outstanding performance, but was it enough to take down the Clippers? And NFL free agency is in full swing. So the question is, who has been making moves and who is falling behind? I'll answer those questions when we come back. desperately waiting for the NFL season to start. Free agency is here and making headlines for certain teams. We all saw this coming because they just refused to go away. But the Patriots have made some moves. They have signed tight end Jonnu Smith to a 4-year deal, tight end Hunter Henry to a 3-year deal, and have signed wide receivers Nelson Aguilar, who was part of the Eagles, and Kendrick Bourne. The current Super Bowl champs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, also made headlines as they re-signed quarterback Tom Brady and reached an agreement with linebacker Levante David. And they also retained stars as Chris Godwin and Rob Gronkowski. Let's just say the Bucs definitely want to go back-to-back. And it was revealed by ESPN's Adam Schefter that quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick reached an agreement with the Washington football team for a 1-year deal worth $10 million. Washington recently released Alex Smith, who won Comeback Player of the Year. After the news was revealed, Chicago Tribune reporter Bragg Briggs tweeted that backup quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, Andy Dalton, could be heading to the Chicago Bears. This was further added when NFL reporter Ian Rappaport on his TV show supported the claim that the Bears have shown interest in Dalton. Last season, Dalton had 14 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and just over 2,000 passing yards with Dallas. And after winning 5 out of their last 6 games, the Mavericks were looking to get a huge win against the Los Angeles Clippers at home. Both teams shot nearly 50% from the field and the three-point range. However, the key difference was defense. Even though Luka Doncic had a triple-double of 25 points, 16 assists, and 10 rebounds, and Tim Hardaway Jr. added 21 points, it just wasn't enough. The Mavericks were trailing all game and did cut the lead to 4 with 3 minutes left, but the Mavericks failed to score at the rest of regulation, and they lost 109-99. They do have a chance for revenge as they face the Clippers tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. That's all I have. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Shaji. Well, I hope you all like things cute and cuddly because today is National Panda Day. Pandas are among the world's most endangered species. There are less than 2,000 of them in the world. Partly because panda breeding programs are uncommon, pandas usually isolate themselves in the world. Their diet consists mainly of plants, and unlike most bears, pandas don't hibernate during the winter.
Thanks for watching ntTV News at Noon.
Join us again tonight at 6 here on North Texas Television.